What's the screen you're
I'll be showing the stream
using?
starting soon.
Okay, yeah, that's the one.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, my bad. Oh no. Alright. Hi, can you guys hear us? Alright. Hi, can you guys hear us? Oh no. I had the
can
stream
hear
on
it
for
back from the
myself.
stream.
Alright, it's fixed. My bad, I'm so sorry.
Well, yeah, it's
It should be fixed, right? Anything wrong?
I think it's okay. We're just waiting for the right time to start. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, so welcome to the stream. For now, it's not exactly the starting time yet, but I just play a bit of chilling music and talk a bit before it actually starts, and to let people come in.
so we're planning like this is like a panel, and we're just okay, guys. Let's take our time and wait for people to come in.
Tell everyone we are starting.
Yeah, tell everyone we're starting. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, chill a bit.
Hmm. Okay, so let's see. I think I already tweeted. So there's still like 2 minutes or so. So we're just wait for people to come in.
Alright. How's your afternoon? Light? Morning?
Dude, it's
Around the
2
world.
a.m.
No, I mean
2
like
a.m.
I mean
here.
in around the world, how are you guys doing?
Fome is saying hi.
Hi Fome.
Oh, I think we're super early in starting the stream, but it's okay. We are welcoming our guests.
It's okay, yeah. We love you too, Fome.
From simp. Okay, never mind. No, we love you too, Fome. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we have practical stuff for you this time, guys. So I hope you're ready to take notes.
Yeah, to cut it short, it's not conceptual but more hands-on now, so
Yeah.
give it another minute or so, yeah.
Oh boy, it's 2 a.m. for me.
It's alright for you guys. We want better animation,
You are so.
Not that
He is so confident.
not that the current community's animation is bad on anything, just wanna help you guys, wanna hope for better, hope that everyone learns a bit, yeah.
External screaming. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay, I think we can
Alright.
start now.
do we hit?
Okay, so guys, so let's begin with part 2 of animating a music video.
Okay.
So to those who missed part 1, you can look at the Youtaite Resources YouTube. It's already posted there as, animating a music video part 1. And that covered the first steps in trying to create a music video, at least for us, where we start with storyboard. And we created a storyboard for a song. And the purpose now of this part 2 is to show you how it was made and what it looks like now so far. And then we'll show you some ways that we use actual After Effects to implement what was shown.
Yeah.
So just like last time, this time Malcolm prepared his PowerPoint.
I made it nice.
Take it away, Malcolm.
Alright. Okay, let me check that slides are going through. Alright, so there's BGM. You can check it out, what's playing currently if you want to. It's just my own selection of music that's meant to help. Anyways, if there's anything else, we'll just go ahead and start. So
do you see the template for this PowerPoint? I'm like, oh my god, Malcolm.
I'm just putting my design to use because I haven't done design in a while. Okay.
Go
so
ahead.
to start off, I'm Malcolm. I do animations. We've been around the community for been a while. 6 years. Yeah, 6 or so. And I love beat music, just like everyone here. Alright, and we have Kenta over here, who's been in the community quite some time.
Yeah, I'm officially 10 years in this weeb karaoke place. End of the month, so
right.
End my suffering. Anyway, go ahead with your presentation.
Right, so animating a video. Okay, so like Kenta recapped, in the previous stream, what we did was that we tried to storyboard the chorus out live for you guys, and this is what I've come up with, storyboarded for the verse and the intro. And as a reminder, we are doing a music video for TV-sized version of Undercover by Deco27. It's part of the Milgram project. It's an interesting music project. You should check it out on YouTube sometime.
AKA the Kage Bro.
Yeah, it's somewhat Kage Bro, but it's a different concept.
Yeah, it's a different concept.
So this is what was drawn, and then this is what was done for trying to make things clear. Verse animation, whatever. We had ideas about using the clouds as an image for me to remake the scene, etc. And then there's the poses that I was trying to tell Kenta what should be done for the part. And these are some of the frames of the animation we've done. You've probably seen it through the tweets animation. Okay. And we'll also show you what has been animated so far. So give me a moment to set it up. Turn on the...
Yeah, but basically the Twitter preview was just 10 seconds, but there was more done. We just cut it.
Okay. So, alright, I'll start the video now.
なんだ許すなら急反射一人ぼっち愛をちょうだいあんだ何かが足りないんだ求め合う決まりなんとかしたいフューチャー隅からのかくれんぼ差し込まれて黙ってどうぞあんだ壊れたハート持って痛いのはいつまで続くのかな奪い
Alright, so that's what was covered so far. And as mentioned in the previous stream, we will be working on the chorus today, as well as covering the how I would animate the part video anyways. Because I mean we can't animate the whole music video in one stream, so this is how we are trying to keep it streamlined for people to work with. Okay, so to start off, what will be covered in the stream is that how do you start animating, how do you actually make stuff that you've drawn in the storyboard come to life. We'll be going through some basics. Believe that 3D environment is a common thing to create in a chorus video, so we'll be covering that as well. Cameras are so important. It's just a simple tool, but it helps to frame your stuff, your animation well when you need it. And when to use 3D is a good question that we will answer as well. And stuff like 3D and lights, like how lights affect 3D, and also a couple of miscellaneous effects to get you started. And we also want to cover on how to add the finishing touches, because we feel that the final look of the video should really be amazing, and hopefully it's a very simple process still, but it will at least make the colors of the video a bit more cohesive in the end. So we'll be...
I think that's what's missing when you just start out. Basically, you just make things move, but you have to make it look together somehow.
So it's like adding context to your character into the scene that you've made. So we'll be teaching you at least what does it mean to composite, or how do we actually go about, and what do we have to do to make this character fit in the scene. Okay. Alright, so moving on. Okay, so to start off, this is how I would go about with working on an animation. Obviously, you have all that storyboard stuff, but if you were to be finished with that already, and we are going to start animating, this is how I will go about. I'll prepare the files that are given to me to work with first, and then I'll import them into After Effects. But before I even start doing anything, I will actually categorize them into folders. And depending on what kind of animation it is, there's some scenes where it's only specific to the first scene or the second scene. So I try to label it to how I need. And after importing, you can kind of start working on the animation. But before you work on the animation, you want to create the scene first. So
Mhm.
you want to make that simple frame of one scene as nice as possible first before actually start animating. So you would refer to your storyboard and then try to recreate that scene in After Effects before you actually get to work. You can do it in different steps. You can create the scenes for each part outright, or you can just work on it as you finish the first part and then move on to the second part and work on it. There's no limitation to how you want to work with the animation.
So basically, it's a mix of 4 to 8. Sometimes it's like you keep going back to it again and again.
Yeah.
Until everything looks nice.
Yeah. Everyone does it differently. There's no limitation. Don't have to follow how I do it. Find a way that you think will be comfortable with how you would work with. And after working on the main part of the animation, after working on the scene, I will work on the animation. So animating it could either be just making the characters come in to the scene, the current scene, and like transition into the current shot of the animation. And then you could just also start to add transitions and cameras to make the next scene come in smoothly, or at least have some shock value, shaking, all that good stuff. Add motion. After you have all the framework or the main animation done, you start fine-tuning it. Let's say you have one scene that's supposed to be very dramatic, so you made the scene quite have high contrast. But the thing is, it doesn't suit the rest of the video as well. This is a good time to actually work on it. And then you pre-composite the areas that you are done with first, and then move on to the next. This is somewhat very important because, for one thing, it helps you to separate which part of the video it belongs to, which part of the song, or whatever you're working with. And also, it helps with rendering time because your computer would technically be handling all 1000 frame layers, not frames, layers into that scene and trying to render it out regardless of whether you put the opacity for each layer up or down on the area.
Yeah, we'll show you about pre-compositing in AE because I think some of you already are familiar with layers, but putting them into groups is going to be a big deal later on.
Yeah, definitely. It really helps speed up the rendering process, and you can just render part by part and work on them individually as well. Each to their own.
Yeah, and I know some people who have complained about rendering times. So this is a big thing to remember when you're rendering.
Yeah, it could really help too. You can find the problem by trying to render a certain part or and then trying to fix it and see whether it will still render afterwards. Okay, we'll move on.
Okay.
So we covered the basics. We will actually do a demo later, so you'll be able to put them into practice, and we'll show you how. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
And render my layers. Yeah,
okay.
Sure. But anyways, so moving on. Compositing. Now, you've probably heard this word a couple of times, but to put it simply, this is the textbook definition of compositing, which is combining two or more images to make a single picture. And while it is as simple as it is, in After Effects or in technical terms when we do animation, there's a few tools that helps you to create or combine the two images to make it even more cohesive than just slapping the character on the scene, And we'll be covering on some of the techniques or tools that will help us work on that. Yeah. You need to add on
So
it?
basically, I believe if you are familiar with art programs, experience in those kinds of things will definitely help you in After Effects, because in the same workflow that you make compositions and drawing art, it's almost the same steps fundamentally in setting up your scene when you're animating. Basically, the terms are actually almost the same. So when you search, I think for those who are listening to our stream right now, when you hear an unfamiliar word, we suggest that you do look it up and these are the terms that are kind of industry wide understandable. So when you want to learn something more, please take note of those terms as well. Okay, so please go ahead, Malcolm.
Well, it's important to know the definitions of things. Sometimes you find like a technique of doing things and you don't really have a name for it, but you just know what to do with it. So it would be great if you could somehow find a definition for it, but in other ways you could just see if you could find out from other people who animate it to see if they know a term for it, you know?
Yeah.
It would just
so it's
help.
easier to search on YouTube for tutorials.
Yeah.
as well.
You could, yeah. But it's just it's really for ease of understanding and also a bit of personal knowledge, I suppose. Yeah. So moving on, compositing, instead of just putting two images together, you're also adding context to the scene so that your character or your environment fits each other very well. And these are the so-called contexts that I will look out for when I'm trying to composite. Lighting, like where's the sun or where's the light source in your area, in your scene is. It doesn't have to be a literal 3D light source. You just need a frame of reference of where the direction of light is coming from, and simple properties like how far the light is, or what kind of light it is. Is it like a spotlight that projects in a cone fashion, or is it like ambient light where everything else in that area is just light up, like the sun?
Everything
you know,
is blue. If the sun is blue, everything around it should be blue.
Yes, basically.
Kind of like that, yeah.
And another kind of context to look out for is material. To put it simply, there are some materials in the character that are reflective. So like metal compared to like cloth, you know, is more reflective than the other. And it's just something simple, but it will really help you to add realism to your scene by adding a reflection in the respective material of that scene, you know. And people like to add a blur effect or whatever, but that's all up to interpretation of how you want to do your compositing. Everyone has their own styles.
I think a good example is like when you're trying to animate water.
Yeah.
Water is kind of a material too, so it has to act like water.
Simpler ways just to look for anything that would have reflection or lighting, because reflection can add texture to some area, but lighting will just help you give like a brighter area to show where is the brighter area, to give the character more context on where they are in the scene using light. It's a bit in depth than I would have explained it, but I hope people are still trying to understand, or at least people are trying to keep up with how I explained it. Is it too confusing? Maybe.
I think it's okay.
I hope so. Well, there'll be Q&A later, so if you really need some clarification, go ahead later to keep your questions for later.
We'll go through this like a checklist later, actually.
Yeah. Another thing is distance. As for some videos, they like to show like the further the character is, there is like a depth of field that we mentioned about how far your camera is compared to your scene or your character. So like, let's say you want to focus on the character and you don't want the background to be too too in focus. You want it to be a little bit less stronger in terms of focus. So some people use depth of field to make the character clear and then the background blurred and so on.
Or some of us just cheat and just put a blur layer behind the character.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which is also possible. That's fine.
But if you can set it up in 3D, it will make your job easier in a way.
Yeah.
But you will have some limits as well, but that's fine.
I think so.
Okay, so another thing is color correction. We can add context, we can add all these like lighting, shadows or whatever, but we still need like some form of like color correction to keep the scene or the character fitting to each other, because artists' way of perceiving light and material, etc., etc., it's different with how everyone is, despite how common we would understand like light coming from the top right corner, you know. Like different artists has different shading styles, and that would mean that some artists may actually be somewhat biased to a certain type of color, but it's not that they are intentionally trying to force it that way. It's just that it's their own way of coloring, and we were basically wanted to make sure that the colors that they've used reflect onto the scene that we've made. So it's either
in a way.
Yeah.
In a way, I guess you could say that animators also have their own sense of design.
Yeah.
Like every artist does.
But
we all have an aesthetic, basically.
Even if you don't, it's just good to just look at pictures and see, you know, whether a character should be that bright compared to the scene, you know. But it can all be up to your design, as mentioned. You could just make the character very like very normal, but the background very dark on purpose, you know, that kind of look. Okay. Different kinds of color correction. To put it simply use the simple ones that most people use. Curves. I can maybe show you on the stream right now on the example of a curve. Let me change the scene. AE. Right. So this is the project for Milgram, what I did so far, but not yet. Okay, so curves. I will apply the effect to this artwork that I've done at around May. But basically, it's this diagonal graph that you see that's really applied to this effect, or to this layer at least. So what you can do is you can click at the point of the line to change the line like a graph. So it goes from dark at the bottom left corner, and then very bright to the top right corner. So if you bring it up from the middle to up in the diagonal manner, you'll notice that everything feels generally brighter, but the darks are still dark, you know? So likewise, if you bring the dark side of the graph up, you'll see that the dark will also become brighter, and so on and so on. You can see that the glowing orb at the center is really bright, so only the top right corner's handle will be able to handle that. And that's not all it is to it. Sorry, you want to add on, Kenta?
Oh no, because like the best definition I can give of curves is like you want to darken your lights and to lighten your darks.
Yeah.
You can do it with curves, basically. If it makes sense to you, what you see right now, that's exactly what it's doing.
Yeah. It's
So, can you do an S curve?
So S curve.
Yeah.
And
Can you
this.
do an S?
You can't like make them go beyond in the x-axis, but you can do it in the y-axis. So you'll get some crazy wacky effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically it's
funny.
like a inverted effect in certain parts of your images. And
but you can do a lot of things with curves.
yeah, if you
And these kinds of interesting visuals.
Yeah. Likewise, if you bring the lines to be perpendicular horizontally, you'll see that it has a lot more gray area than it is, you know. But this is just
saturated.
Separated. Pardon me.
Saturated.
No, it's more of like you could say it's like less saturation, yeah. But there's less saturation in the middles of like in between light and dark colors. But the light and dark still stay light and dark.
They still have that tinge of color somewhat.
I believe it's something that's more hands-on, and if you try to play around with it, you'll start to understand more and more. So if you get the chance, you could try and see, you know. So as mentioned, aside from this is just comparing all the colors in general. You'll see that there's a channel for RGB, and our scene, it's all made like technically in our computers, it's all made from light, and if you want white color, it's red, green, and blue, and that's why the hex code or whatever is based on that actually. But to put it simply, when there's like a channel to only change the rates in the curve effect. What you can do is you can select the rate, this like to show each channel that's available in the scene. So we're looking at the rate in this channel. So that means that anything rate related will be altered through this channel. So anything that's green will not be altered unless you check the green channel, and so on and so forth. So to move on with the rate, this is how it looks. So let's say I want lesser rate around the area, but only around the glowing orb.
Can you show the scene with all the colors in it?
Yeah, so this is how it looks with all the colors. So if there's no red, there's still green and blue. And if there's green and blue, you'll see more, green orb.
Green and blue, yeah.
So you can see that the parts that are bright, right, they're usually still white because the rest of the colors are also white. Basically, if you see the same value for red, green, and blue in that certain area of the image, you're most likely to get a neutral color, a gray or black or white. So yeah, this is how most digital imaging processing works actually. So if you look at, actually, let me bring out it again, but basically there was a Twitter user who mentioned about how to use this, and I have to thank him for that. So it's the MCA, if he does animation in the community as well, and he gave like the community like a quick tip on how to actually make your character fit the scene very well, and I'll show it in when I get around to working in the animation. But the gist of curves is as it is shown here. So you want more green, you bring it up. You want less green in the scene, you bring it down. I hope that covers what curves is. Okay. Well, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. We'll answer it as soon as possible or later.
I think let's proceed with the other terms first. Maybe it's gonna answer those.
Yeah. So levels is another color correction that's a bit more streamlined per se. It's not as complicated as a curve, but it's similar to how curve works. So I'll show you an example again. I'll apply the levels effect. Okay, so you can see a graph that shows like the red, green, and blue that are mixed together. So if you check out each channel, you'll see how they are. But basically this represents the bright part of the image, and this is the dark part of the image. So you can alter it how you want the middles to be a bit brighter or darker. You know, it can be an interesting look how you want. But likewise with curves, you can adjust it for per channel, as you can see. So maybe it's less confusing, and maybe you can start with this. You can just play around with it and see if you can find the effect that you want. And this is how the image looked initially, for reference on how levels work. There are of course other effects that you can look into, but they could be proven to be a bit more advanced and more for fine-tuning purposes. I believe just play with what kind of aesthetic you have in mind for this scene, and work with it. Not to say it's that easy, but it just requires practice. Yeah.
It requires a lot of experimentation, I think. It's like, look at your new effects, try it out, see what it does to your images, and then use that same knowledge that you just gained in a future animation. That's basically it.
Okay, so next, color correction. Well, you could say it's color correction, you could say it's an effect, but basically it's a vignette. It's hard to say, right? Vignette.
Yeah.
Vignette.
Guys. Vignette.
Vignette. But anyways, to put it simply, it's the darkness around the image. Actually, not just darkness, because it actually applies different ways.
So let's show 2 different kinds of vignettes, I think.
So there's actually a vignette effect here. You can't see much because the area is really darkened, so let's go to the opposite. You'll notice maybe a better picture. Yeah, okay, I'll use this. So this is how a picture looks like without a vignette. And this is how it looks like with vignette. To put it simply, it's the shadow or the light that's coming through at the edge of your art. Style frame or animation, etc.
Yeah, that one.
People use the dark one very often, so you finally know what it's called, at least.
Yeah, that's the blurry color at the sides of your screen. That's a vignette. So I think this was explained. So when we was talking with Malcolm about this, so the black one is usually just to add that effect, a dramatic effect, like a focus. And then the opposite, if it's white, it's commonly used for dream sequences.
Yeah.
Right? So like when you imagine a dream sequence, the vignette is white. And that's because of popular media, like pop culture, making it that dream sequences always have a white vignette.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just say it's pop culture, but at the same time, it's just that when you see this kind of imagery, and based on pop culture, they've really shown this quite often. It just makes you think it's a flashback or a dream quite often. So you don't feel like it's out of place, because you've seen it in pop media often.
What if you make it a red vignette? Does that mean you're bleeding?
Speaking of which, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, POV, right? Like POV when your screen gets a red vignette, that you're basically bleeding.
It's all up into the interpretation, but
but
everyone can come with the effect in a different way. It's like when you play a first-person shooter and you're like low on health, and then they show that great vignette around it. It's for the same purpose. So, it's to add focus.
So basically, let's point out what you did, because for the first one you used a effect called vignette,
right?
But now we're showing you that you can also do the same effect by putting a. Can you do that again?
Oh. Okay.
Can you make a circle? So let's remove the field. Sorry, let's do that again.
It's solid.
So to those.
Yeah. So to start off, I created a solid. I can choose the color you want, I suppose. Let's say a blue. Okay, so you give you a solid, and there's a button here that shows all the shapes that you can make. But for the purposes of this demonstration, you can double click this, and this makes a mask on the solid that you made. So this solid, what I would do is I will subtract it instead of adding. Basically, the behavior of the mask, I want it to subtract what's inside the circle instead of adding, also called masking whatever's inside to be what it. So subtracting it, and then I'm adding a feather. You can see it's similar to the vignette effect, and there's like an expansion, like mask expansion. It shows like how far it is relative to the mask that you've created. That's a more manual way to create a vignette. But
you have more control over it.
You have more control. Like in a situation like Kenta mentioned, you want to mimic like blood bleeding or like bloodshot kind of feel. You would use red vignette instead. And so on.
Yeah, I don't actually use the vignette effect. I just make my own using the solid.
Yeah, everyone does it.
I think.
Because for vignette effect, if you notice it, right, if I use it, there's this setting called pin highlight. What it does is that it tries to push the bright parts of your image through the vignette instead of just making a simple mask like I did through the thing. So for some people, it's very useful to help bring out the details that are currently there. But it really depends on your style. Everyone
Because
has
when you do the pin highlight, you notice that the shape of the vignette changes because that's how it's built that way.
yeah.
But if you do it manually, the shape will still be the same. So I guess it's up to you which one you want to use or
Yeah.
what kind of effect you want to go after.
Like I mentioned, everyone can do the same thing differently in many different ways possible. So just find the way that you think you're comfortable with. I personally do make a solid and then do what I need because it has more control, and you can make use of blending modes, you know.
Yeah,
make use of-
that's a big thing for me actually.
Yeah, so everyone does it differently, so it's really up to how you want a certain thing to look. Like animating is no easy task. You can make a simple thing, but you want it to look a certain way, and not everyone does the same thing the same way. And when it comes to animation, you know, everyone will realize like, oh shit, there's like a typography animating system in it, but not everyone knows, and they animate the typography one by one, and that's okay too because you have way more control. It's somewhat I don't think it's a completely bad thing. It's just a different method. It's just that everyone does it differently, and it just implies that there's more manual work put into it. But if you want to get the same effect, it's probably best to find a faster way to do it anyway.
Oh, and you know what else you can do with a vignette? Blur vignettes.
You can blur it, yeah, but it's already blurred for me.
No. I mean, I'd make an adjustment layer of vignette.
I see.
But yeah, we can.
I can show an example later, but yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah.
So last thing, we have this thing called satin. So no, it's not a kind of material, but it is an effect that helps you create shadows over your character, so that it gives context that the lighting is at the back of the character. I will do an example real quick, but basically, this is it's best. Okay, so this is one of the artworks that Kenta have made already. I'll add a simple background in the back. Okay, so basically, if you go to layer and layer style, satin, you'll notice that it feels like your art has gotten dark, but if you look into it a bit closer, it feels like there's a bit of light that's like appearing at the edge of your artwork. This is very, very helpful when you're trying to add like a light source at the background and you want to add context to how it looks like. So let's say I add like a lens flare or art source at the back. So optical. You can really see that it feels like there's more context to it. So you can alter the size to how you need. You can alter the distance. So you want it to be a bit more into the character compared to previously. So yeah, it's a different kind of shadow, but they call it satin. This is very helpful because I understand that a lot of people actually try to do these dramatic shots where the art is at the background and you're trying to make the art feel like it's not just at the front of the light, but rather it's being shown at the back of their body. But so yeah, that adds context to add shadows to the front of the full body instead of adding a drop shadow.
Yeah, because like trying to fake the lighting on the edges of your artwork is extra work when you already have satin. Anyway, you can just use that.
Yeah, of course, last mentioned, everyone does things differently. You can technically remake the satin effect to how you need, but feel free to find the way that's more comfortable for you. Okay. to move on. Okay, so we get into the 3D. Now we'll be going into very crazy details on 3D because 3D is a subjective matter in the fact that some people's 3D add a lot of volume or space into the environment. Sorry, you were trying to say?
Oh no. Fome just said satin is greater than outer glow.
I don't think it's greater than outer glow. I think he just means it's like an outer glow, maybe.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a reverse outer glow.
Yeah.
Say that, yeah. Apologies,
Okay,
I have the dashboard on all the time. But anyways, so okay, so you've learned some simple terms. You want to start working on it, but you need like a stage or like an environment in the background to work with. And we'll be creating a 3D scene that will be helping our chorus come to life as in reference to the original music video of Undercover by Milgram. So as mentioned, there's also context for 3D environments, but basically there's a background, there's a middle ground, and there's a foreground. It just all comes down to how you want to show your scene at a certain part. So background usually keeps stuff like contextual stuff. So like let's say this guy's in a city, so you want to show like a backdrop of a city and you want to have a red sky at the background and so on. So that's what we mean by background. Middle ground could be things that are obstructing the character's way, or could be before after the foreground, but it all adds like distance or that immersive feel of 3D when you use the camera to move the scene around. And foreground is usually where the focus is, but the thing about foreground is that it's not always about focus, but sometimes it's about the details in the front to help give a context to your middle ground, and so on and so forth. Some people like to do that scene where there's like a character in the front that's very dark, but blurred, but the one at the back is actually clearer and brighter. So foreground doesn't just mean it has to be the only focus in it, but it's just to keep in mind that 3D is a very vast thing, but you want to know what you're looking for each part or layer of your 3D environment. So background is usually the 3D environment. Yeah.
That's essentially so basically those three contexts is related to the next part, which is the elements, which is focus. So depending on what you want to focus in the scene, you have to manipulate your background, your midground, or your foreground. So there's many, and maybe other layers in between, depending on what you want to do. Actually.
So it's all interchangeable, but it just helps to give the character give you an like a flat 2D feel understanding of how your 3D environment should look like. You just need to have a background, a midground, and a foreground. Of course, like I mentioned, it's not a rule or whatever like that. You know, just make sure it's just to help you keep track of your 3D context. You know, there's characters in the background, there's characters in the front, but you want the character to be important to be in the front, but you want to add like a dramatic effect by having the character in the front is dark, so on and so on. Everyone does their scenes differently, everyone does a storyboard of their animation differently. You know, it's all up into creativity. It's very up to you guys, but we're just trying to give you like the context or the weapons that you need to understand what to get done with, what to do with, so that you can create a better and more nicer animation to start. These are all very basic stuff, so we won't dwell too much into it, but I will be showing how I created my chorus especially, so you can maybe learn a few tips and tricks from me as well. Right, so while there's background, for midground, foreground, there's also we're just talking about the 3D elements that goes into this. Basically environment, character, focus, props. They are like things to put in your background, midground, and foreground. And just keep in mind that these are some common things that you probably want to think about before actually getting to animating. You probably want the environment, the character, and focus can come in many different forms. So like some story related animation have like emphasis on a certain writing on like some ancient wall kind of context. So that becomes like a focus for a certain part of the scene. Or like a simple icon in the middle that's supposed to add symbolism to your characters or like story that you're trying to tell, and so on and so forth. Props, miscellaneous, they are all very up to interpretation. But this is how I would categorize them, at least to know what I'm looking for when I'm creating a 3D environment or a scene. It depends on how you storyboarded the thing out. Anything to add on, Kenta?
No. I think they already know those the elements basically. I think they'll probably appreciate this more once we start chucking things into a 3D stuff. I think.
I just feel like I've babbled too long, but I don't know. That's my first few times. Oh, well, would you look at that? It's time to do an animation. So we'll be doing a demonstration on how the chorus will be like anyways for me. So gonna bring down the background music and then we can start working.
Yeah, he's gonna animate the chorus now because he likes to die.
You don't have to tell everyone. But anyways, we won't do it meticulous. We won't do it like a 1-to-1 fully done at chorus video. I mean, we will, but I won't show you every single step along the way because time constraint is an issue. But we'll try our best to keep things a bit more streamlined and understandable for you guys. But feel free to just let us know if there's anything that I've done.
Yeah.
Help me look out for it, Kenta. And then
I'll be
we'll try to help you understand. Okay. So this is the project. You can just scrub real quick. You can see a lot of lines of layers going through. It's actually surprisingly. It actually surprisingly took me 2 days to finish it up. But anyways, I digress. To start off, is the song. I forgot. I'm still using the original audio, but the mix came in actually. But anyways, it's still the same song. So I'll replace it so that I don't get copyrighted. Give me a moment.
How are you gonna animate it if you're gonna replace it? Oh wait, is it? Oh, your cover, you mean?
Yeah, just cover.
Okay. I thought it was like you're gonna replace it with a different song, and I'm like, wait, how?
No. That's not how it works. But yeah, it's just to prevent, like I can't just take somebody's work. Like it's not fully my work. I can just like. Is that why? Do you guys get what I mean? Yeah. Oh no, where's the cover? Oh no. There we go. Okay, so this cover.
No, we were safe the last time, so I think we're okay.
Are we? Okay. I hope so.
Yeah, the first stream was okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. We did show it, right?
Yeah, we showed the actual video.
Yeah, I don't want to waste too much time right now because I have to align the mix. But anyways, this is where we left off.
So can you preview it actually?
Yeah, here you go. I'm previewing right now. Oh wait, Kenta, can you see it?
Yes.
Let's just through the stream, I suppose. So right now we're just trying to find a time where the thing will start. So around here, and then start animating on the spot. Starts, right? Yeah. So first things first, we need an 3D environment. We can reuse some of the elements that we've made before. Okay. Alright, so this is a 3D floor. I believe there's a layer that's for the floor. Yeah, there we go.
Did you label them?
No.
I mean, I sometimes don't label my layers too, so it's like
Yeah, it could be a bit.
Floor?
It could be a bit messy, but everyone is still, everyone. Not everyone names every single layer they have.
I know.
Yeah. So
But the important ones, like the floor.
okay, so we'll bring back the sun. I created.
Call for the sun. Call for the sun.
It's actually just a shape layer, and I added like a gradient ramp over it.
Oh, did you add some kind of glow or?
Actually, it's the same layer but blurred.
Ah, okay.
And then I tried to add like a blending modes to it. I will cover a bit about blending modes later, but
can you F4? Oh, there it is. Okay. Ah. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes sense. Got it.
Yeah, we're bringing back that sun scene. Right now there was like clouds to go with the animation, so we're gonna bring in the clouds. These are pretty far into the 3D space, so I'll make this 3D.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. So bring it back. Ugh, so bright.
Oh, I'm curious about the floor. Is that a fractal noise or?
It's a fractal noise, yeah. If you look at the layer as it is, just a simple fractal noise. It's already
if you show? Yeah.
already animated as it is. Okay. But basically, it's they have offset turbulence. Basically means brings the current area's noise around, and there's a second setting called sub offset which does the same thing. Yeah, but because
which you move it.
Yeah, it feels like a second layer of fractal noise. You could say that, yeah. So it just feels like water, if you could say.
Yeah,
it's an interesting effect. And I added a tritone effect to help make it a bit more cohesive, because it's like white and a bit hard to work with.
Yeah, the contrast is kind of different as well. Yeah. So yeah, for those who are watching, at least you can see the types of effects and what they can do. Like for example, the fractal noise is basically a kind of a noise generation effect. So fractal noise can come in many different flavors, I guess. It can be, the TV is acting up fractal noise, or waves on the ocean fractal noise. So there are different kinds of fractal noise. So you can look into that effect, because it's very useful when you're trying to make a living background.
Yeah, it's actually like a bread and butter for a lot of people's works. So like there's simple stuff like changing the type of noise that you have. There's like a blockier kind of noise. I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah, if you can see, it's a bit more straightened out and more blocky. And
you can change the noise type basically.
Basically, yeah. Not everything works the same way, so you can just look around and see which one fits to how you need.
This looks more like Minecraft, to be honest.
Well, it's all up to you can make a techie style to it if you want.
Is someone gonna make a Minecraft chorus? Because that's a good way to do it.
Oh no! Okay, I don't know what you're saying.
Go ahead.
I have no idea what you're saying. Okay, anyways, so
are you implying something?
First, okay, I'll remove the color correction again. Actually, we'll show how it works later. So I'm just basically using
them together.
Sorry.
Yeah, just put them together, and then we'll start applying those the color collection probably after, so they get to see how it,
Yeah, that'll be the end of the step, because I will show them step by step on how I made the color correction in the first place, because I just dived into how it looks, and it's not like a realistic representation of how the animation would start off with. But
so to those who are watching the stream, I guess, as you can see right now, there are different elements on the screen, right? but it's not exactly cohesive.
Yeah, you can see the clouds are incredibly white. Or very bright anyways. So we're trying to tone it down. Or at least mimic the feel of how the lighting should look like for the clouds. So I'm playing with opacity, I'm playing with this effect called tritone. I have to bring it down. Don't worry if it's like really white compared to the other colors that's used in the scene. It's you can all fix that with color correction, but you want the main thing to be in anyway. Okay, so this is just a simple scene, but basically we want the characters to be running through in the middle. So we'll start bringing a character prisoner bot. So
yeah, okay. So I for this one, I actually made Malcolm's character in parts. So it's like I wasn't sure if he was gonna do something fancy with it. So
yeah.
I didn't have to, but you could.
You could, but for context, this you can pick up my arm. Oh, it's flying! Oh no.
Oh.
You could technically, if you want to animate it, you could bring the anchor point. What it means to bring the anchor point there is to make sure that the rotation will be rotating in context of where that point is, instead of rotating at where it is in the middle.
Yeah.
So this is very helpful when you're trying to make those effects where you're trying to make the character move and so on. I'm afraid I don't have too much time to cover all of that, so keep that.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's really all up to how your artist and how the animator has what's it called?
Agreed.
Yes, agreed on. Yeah. So okay, we'll start putting them into context. First of all, I wanted the prisoner counterpart to be all the way at the back with the sun, and then the main body to be from the front. So what's very useful when you're doing 3D is that you have this thing called it shows you the current scene. So sometimes I like to open the two views up. So this will be the active camera, if you can see my mouse, and then for this view I would put it into left or right view. And I would scale it back, and I would like to see how far my characters are. I think they're so far that I can't. Oh no. Oh no.
I think they're too far. They're probably. Is it too big?
I think I just made the scene too far, that's why.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, so this is the back area. So there's no camera setup yet, but basically this is the part. So we're looking from right to left. Okay, you know what? I'll set up camera easier first. Okay, so you can see the lines. Now we are looking into this direction. So the floor is that way, and that's the prisoner site that's over here. So it's a lot to take really in, far. But it's really to help you. Okay, sorry.
Can you go back to the camera in the left view? In the left pane. Okay, just to explain, can you go to the point of the left camera where you see the camera, like the triangle, the camera triangle?
I'm actually trying to move it, but it's so far.
Yeah. So basically, the camera thing there. Yeah. So when you see that triangle, basically the shorter end of this. What is this? Is this an isosceles triangle? The shorter, yeah, the is where the camera is facing, basically. Yeah. So now you know where it is.
Yeah, the perpendicular part, or like the part that's perpendicular to parallel to the artwork, is actually the direction that it's facing. Anyways, also what I did just now to enlarge this part of the window is the tilde key that's beside one. It helps you to put focus into the current part of the window. So if you click on a certain area, it will just show you that window in full. So that's a quick tip, yeah. Okay, so cameras. What I usually do is I a camera is best to have a dolly. What a dolly is in a real life situation is like the handling equipment that lets you mount the camera and lets you move the camera better. So what I'm essentially doing is just putting a null object and parenting the camera to it and make it 3D. Because if you realize when you move the camera up or down, you realize like it's like trying to tilt up or down, which is not usually many people's intention. What you want to do is you want to move the camera literally up and down to how you need,
So this is basically what we do. It's easier to control when you use null objects in AE, especially with cameras. So I think a lot of us use it this way because, for example, when you're just rotating a camera around an object, it's really annoying to just rotate the camera itself when you can just parent it to a null object and just rotate that null object.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Regardless,
so that's what a dolly is for.
Yeah. So there will be a question that I'll answer later that will help regarding this. So I'll show another example later. But basically, what I'll be doing right now is I'll be animating the null instead of the camera. So this is the start of the song. So I want it to like maybe reset around the second line of the chorus. So I want it to start from the like showing the rest of the body, the showing the rest after transitioning from my body.
He's really far.
It's really, really far, but don't worry about it.
Okay.
So you keep showing back and forth, showing back until you see that main character. We'll move it to the side. Okay, so similar to how the original video is, there's quite a few silhouettes that I can use to the side. So I'll be reusing them. Okay, so I'll bring it to the scene. I want it to be like the silhouettes to be moving in the 3D areas as it pass by. Oh no, I think that's too big. Oh no, that's the wrong number. So you can see that this is one of the silhouettes that we use.
Oh wow, he's big.
Yeah, I think it thought that I was trying to make it incredibly big. But anyways, so I want it
like Evangelion for some reason.
Yeah. I want it to like have the silhouette drive by the camera as you add on more. So okay, what I'm doing here as well, what I'm doing is replacing the silhouette with another layer. And it's especially helpful because there's some effects that you want to keep within that same sprite or image, so that it has the same context but it's just a different kind of picture. So I'm doing this. I'm trying to bring it forward as I animate it. Right. This is all up into personal interpretation, but this is just how I would, I suppose. Okay, keep making it go back. Okay. So I'm trying to make use of Kenta's art. I don't want it to all go into waste.
I think, can you fit one? I think you can fit one more, right?
Probably. One more is so slow. Okay, so it doesn't feel as fast as I want it. So one thing I could do is I could add zoom into the camera. Basically, if you notice just now, it just makes the thing feel further, even though it's just the same distance. And this helps to create the motion feel faster. If you can see in this example.
Oh wow.
It's a very easy way to make it feel incredibly dramatic, but it comes at a cost of very weird distortions if you try to work with it. So if you rotate it around, it feels like it's like 5 million like miles away. But in actual fact, this is how a normal camera should have perceived it. So it's technically slow. So that's just one of the camera tricks I have in mind. Yeah. So I
Okay.
want to make it a bit more busy looking.
I
So
think so.
what I could do is I could just duplicate more bodies. Could duplicate more bodies and fill up the scene a bit more. But you'll notice that it's the same sprite, so I want to do something to keep it a bit more unique. And maybe just add variation to it, something. Maybe
I think that
change the
works.
color. So like red is the black and white is the red, and
Yeah, so the wonders of color correction, basically.
Yeah.
You can just alternate
Yeah.
those colors.
And then I will do the alternate click over the thing again and just change it how I need to. It's all manual work. You know, it's just how you want the scene to
painful
be.
part, basically.
It's a bit painful, but I think it's just worth it to how you want to do it if you have the time for it. Trying to make this as fast as possible because I don't want to track the stream too long. People like this, like I don't want to take too much of Kenta's time too. Like
What?
it's almost
I am
3
fine.
a.m. There.
No, I stay up super late. Go ahead.
Well, people in my stream needs to eat dinner at some point too, right?
This is their dinner.
I see. So yeah, give me a bit more time. I'll get to the nitty gritty soon. It's just all a simple process of trying to put your characters around.
Basically setting up. So if you've done chorus animations, it's basically the part where you set up all the singers in one place.
Yeah, it's technically that. So right now it looks very simple, but it will that's where, because we are trying to do just the simple, like the main animation stuff. This is how I would do it anyways. So yeah, some days you just feel like you can make the scene look as good as you think, but that's okay. Sometimes you're just having a burnout, so you just either take a short break or so on, you know. So the clouds are really small because of the zoom I've created. Oops, apologies. The clouds are a bit too small.
You change scale. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be changing the scale of the scene instead. So what I did was parent the sun to the glow of the sun to the same.
Should you make the sun bigger or? Okay, yeah.
Just to add the context of it. Yeah. Okay, so the sun is facing us, right? I mean, facing us right now. So we want the characters to have like a shadow going on. See, this becomes annoying to do with because you have to find every layer. But everyone does it differently. Okay, so we'll be using the satin effect. Done. Okay, let's call it a day. No, I'm joking. So the sun's at the back, so that's why satin is very useful here. And the rest are just silhouettes, so it shouldn't matter too much.
That's fine.
Yeah. And I wish I had time to add all the shadows in, but
You can add that post stream, I think. For
post
now,
stream
I
probably.
guess it's just.
It takes a lot of time to make things look nice together. And then the shine on the is a more shine. Looks nicer. The clouds feel like there should be more volume, so
Yeah,
start repeating them into the scene. So don't mind me. Everyone does it differently. You can repeat it. You can make unique clouds everywhere. Holy shit, there'll be a lot of work, but it could be worth it to how you want to make it work. Yeah.
or maybe fake it with particulate.
Hmm.
You can, but
Particulars a effect that not everyone has, so trying to
yeah.
make it as friendly to everyone as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, in art parts.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So for a question from Saw, so there's a reason they're asking if why most of the images are pre-comped.
Okay. So for me, in my opinion, first of all, it's because Kenta gave it to me into part. But
Yeah.
another reason is that if you change the contents of this, let's say you for some reason wanted a cloud, you can easily change it for every sprite in this pre-comp that's used. You don't have to one by one replace the image and so on. And while you add it, you can add specific effects to how that thing looks, how that comp or that full body looks,
Yeah.
and without multiplying the effect into different layers and everything.
Mm.
So it really helps with making the character more consistent instead of trying to add the same effect over and over and over and over again, which is a real drag for people who are doing animating. That's at least one of the ways I've tried to, yeah.
There's also another reason why I pre-comp every sprite that I use. It's because I pre-comp, like, when you're animating a chorus and they only give you the line art or the not finished artwork yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So you place it with the full art.
I place it in a comp.
Yeah.
I place the full art when it's done, so that every other thing that I animated with the old art will just get replaced.
Yeah.
And you can do the replace thing, like you can do the replace image thing, but I feel like there's more, like, especially if you're puppeting something, that is important.
Yeah,
it
but
saves so much time.
When it comes to puppeting, that will take some time to replace. So if you can,
no.
You don't have to follow it the way I do it. It's just for my own convenience.
Yeah.
So everyone,
it's insurance. So it's insurance.
Let's say it's insurance. Yeah.
It will keep you sane from doing the same thing again and again every time. Hey, I want to change something in my sprite, and you're like,
you could say that what I'm doing is also kind of counterintuitive by repeating and everything. But what you could do for me is that if you don't pre-comp your layers, like you have the first cloud that was already affected this way, right? So they could just copy the layer and you would apply the same effect throughout all the layers that you've already copied. But you have to make sure that the current copied layer is, what you want. Like the way it looks is what you want. I want to make some overlapping clouds in between the characters. So I'm gonna do that right now. Jesus, I think I made the cameras incredible. I think I just made the characters so incredibly far. Oh my god, the numbers are crazy.
Yeah, I was like, are we reaching the 10,000s?
Oh no. Well, when you're busy animating, you just sometimes don't realize it, So yeah, don't do the same mistake I did, but just make sure that you're using the layered numbers responsibly as well.
Ooh, now it looks like it's more smoky now, which is odd. Oh yeah, I like how the clouds look. Ooh,
it's your cloud. Thank you,
No, how
Kenta.
you're using the clouds.
Okay.
This makes me feel like what's that steampunk-ish clouds, somewhat.
It almost feels steampunk, but it adds a mysterious feel to it, I believe. So why not,
Okay.
right? I wanted something that doesn't make the scene feel too empty when the characters are flying by. So I figured this
I
could
knew I should have made those like those other things sticking out of the ground things.
right. Oh, you know what? I
Well,
can do that. Okay.
do you want to do the normal shapes like the rectangles?
Yeah, I'll
I
just
feel
make.
like they would make sense here. The rectangle ones would make sense.
Sorry about it. I can do it. Yeah. So what I would do is I would have a effect on a solid. Okay. So it's gonna be in between the what's it called? The floor layer, which is for some reason blocked here. But anyways, I digress.
There it is.
So there is an effect
Can
called
you name it?
CC particle world. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, particles. Alright, so particles. That's quite a big subject, but basically we're trying to either make either we're trying to make like stone like metal rods coming out of the ground,
Yeah.
just like in a MV. So
Mhm.
I don't know if this effect could actually make it. Yeah, it could. Okay,
Mm.
textured square. Alright, so let's set up the. I think the camera is a bit insane to make this work, but it could work. Okay,
The distance is going to be big, but
producer,
okay, let's just see.
producer, radius.
Mhm.
It's a bit hard to
Mhm.
understand, I know.
Okay, so while he's setting up the particle world, so let me just explain the concept of particles. So if you want to make things like rain, snow, bubbles, or basically several repeated stuff at random places on the 3D environment, that's when you start using particles. So in this case, to most animators, they're more familiar with particular, which is part of the trap code suite. So, but this one, the particle world
It's free.
itself, is this it's part yeah, it's free. So to people who can't buy particular, you can still use this. There's some limitations to this, so it's not as robust as particular.
Yeah,
But just to make this accessible, we're gonna use this type of effect at least.
let's make like red sticks coming out the ground.
Mm.
So,
Okay. So
oh,
what will
those are later. Those are later. Uh,
okay.
First, I would need to import that layer here, and then I need to use this effect to reference it. I'm sorry that I can't explain every single effect that I'm using, but yeah, I you can look it up online. I can't explain every single thing I'm doing right now, so I do
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah, okay. So what he's doing at least is that when you're making a particle a particle creation already, you're using an effect similar to particular and particle world. You can select what kind of particle you're making. It can be just, dots. It can become in particular, you can have clouds, you can have stars. In this case, he can assign that the particle become a layer, and in this case, the particles are those red bars. And what it will do is that it will place those red bars at random locations that are set by him over there in the producer area. So in this case, within the X, so like so in X it's just the horizontal ground. Y is less than 1, which means it shouldn't go beyond like vertical, so it shouldn't be floating upside above. It should just be on the ground. So those kinds of concepts. So this is more like a 3D understanding of 3D at least. So everything is on the x-axis, where it should not be anywhere above the y. And it's also on the z because you're traveling from the back to the front. So z and x-axis. Okay. So, ooh. Can Particle World adjust the rotation for each one?
Yeah, I couldn't find that. I couldn't
It's
find
not
that feature.
In Particle World?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Do you want to use particular for those who want to try it?
No.
Because I feel like it'll look nicer. Just okay. Make another one, but use particular.
Okay,
Use
fine. Ugh. Fine, Kenta. Particular. Just trying to appeal to the devil in me.
Yeah, because like this is what I mean by limitation.
That's what we mean by limitations, but I mean it's just, you know, everyone.
If that's all you need, it's fine. But I think we need to do the random rotation things because
it has the feature that makes every particle rotate in a different direction if you want to. Okay. I'm sorry, particular is not actually cancelled.
It's not cancelled. It's too good to be cancelled. Okay, so the z-axis, which means that, so it's a box. Okay, so
I think it's so far into the Z space that I couldn't even reach my main character here.
Yeah, it doesn't reach
Oh
your main character.
no.
It's too far. You might have to set it to like 50,000. Why is it so far?
Yeah, you guys.
Or no, adjust your position, your Z position probably.
I have to move everything in front. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I could just move.
Adjust your Z, the position Z of the emitter.
Oh yeah. Whoa,
Yeah, adjust the.
You smart. Oh no, my voice is not meant to say that way. That's like the kind of voice I use when I play game.
No, this is the kind of voice when you're doing this at 2 a.m.
You're right.
Which is what you're doing.
I just want to finish them. Nah, I'm joking. It's not working though, surprisingly.
Maybe move it. Is it moving in the right direction?
It is.
I think you need to move it further.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you need to. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, there it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's there. Then...
Z space. Wow. Okay. So yeah, particulars amazing, guys. I'm
worth it. Buy it, guys. Buy it. Anyway, enough.
How you get this plugin? I do not have any concern about it. Everyone has their trade secrets. I'm not gonna tell you mine.
Yeah, they have their trade secrets.
I mean, okay, when you're in the industry, it's best to buy the product. But anyways, okay, so I want to change this to texture. No, please.
So your velocity should be 0, right?
Yes. 0 velocity. I should also put the physics time factor to 0 so that it doesn't delete anything.
Yeah, because for those who are not aware, by default, like when you make a new particular layer, it makes this point where it's just spewing particles everywhere. And for this case, we don't want our red bars to be randomly floating around. We want it to be in the same place, so we remove the velocity. Okay, so your texture should be. Where's the layer for that?
It's already set up. Hold on.
I think it's the wrong layer.
I think there's too much particles. Oh boy, there you go. Yeah, I think there's just too much particles in this field.
Oh yeah, probably.
please. I hope you guys have a good computer when you start working on on anything like that.
No, you just made. It's because you made this really far.
That was not my intention. It got the job done though, I suppose.
Okay, yeah. So here come the bars. Here comes the bars. So it's a similar effect to Particle World. I think the only limitation was that we couldn't randomly rotate everything else, which is what the effect that we want essentially. So random rotation, slightly, probably 10.
Yeah.
I think 10.
The only sad thing is that if you want to make the shadow work on the floor, it's gonna be pretty annoying. But it's a lot of work, basically. But at least it adds like a motion, like the speed motion feeling to it better.
Maybe the bars can be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
I think. They look like it's like someone threw Pocky and they all landed on the floor.
It's like swords to the ground. Yeah, Foam mentioned that it's actually really great to make it. See, so now it feels more details.
You can so for me, if you want to do that, you just basically ask someone to draw you a sword, and then we'll just make it into a particle, and then everything is like unlimited blade works. So
yes, my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Okay, someone doing a Fate collab because wink wink. Anyway,
I'm gonna bring the characters up front because there's really a big limit with this effect as well. I think it's just okay, guys, please do not make your characters incredibly far.
10,000 pixels.
This is not what I had in mind when I was working on it. Oh no. Okay, at least.
Wait, did it reach 50,000?
Yeah. No.
Oh my god.
Don't worry about it. It's fixed. No, don't worry about it. It's fixed.
Okay, just adjust everyone's positions, and then we're fine.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. No one has to know. Oh my god.
Dude, you recorded.
They feel a bit random though. I kind of wish. Maybe it's the cloud. Okay, so this is
the clouds are probably too big, I think.
Yeah. Why is everything so big, Kenta? Why did you give me a 4,000 times 4,000 cloud?
Look, I like high res things.
Alright, okay, I get it. 70.
Do you want me to give you a low res cloud?
No. You're right. Give me a better res. Give me a good res over any time. I have to say though, the 3D is just intersecting with the clouds in a bad manner.
Maybe the opacity of the cloud. Okay, I think the opacity is okay now. Maybe.
It's so terrible.
I'm so tempted to ask you to put an alpha ramp on all the clouds.
Alpha ramp. Yeah, actually I did. I was wondering. Wait, I didn't. Oh god.
You did not, right?
It's curves time.
Oh god.
Okay, so curves. There's an alpha channel as well, guys. So what you can do is break down.
Okay, let's see. How can we make this? Oh yeah.
It's not doing much. Alpha ramp it is.
Yeah, alpha ramp, please.
Except that I don't have it. Wait, what? Did they remove the effect?
Do you still have ramp?
We do have ramp, yeah. I'm using it already. Okay, I'll just mask it.
Okay, fine. There are many workarounds for stuff like this.
So. What's good is that they are same layers and I can apply it all of the same thing. And then for
that works. That works.
Our brains
So
like, oh no, I think we're taking too much time animating this out. Okay, we should wrap it up soon and then start answering questions as well. Please feel free to answer and let us know any questions you have with the process I've done so far.
So to those who have never animated before, welcome to the process. It's about us. It's about us, like having headaches about this doesn't look good enough. Let's fix this.
It's a time-consuming process. I apologize. I can't show you every single thing that happens here, but I'll start to wrap it up. But basically, we need to start adding some color correction to it.
That's the important part. Let's try.
Okay, so this is the initial color correction I put over it, and there's like many things like filters, like this black, what was it called? The vignette, as I mentioned, and then
The vignette is important.
so this flicker thing that I made, it's actually just adding an expression to the opacity layer of a higher curve effect, so that it feels like it's like bright and dark over time.
So again, to those not familiar, that in AE, you can set expressions for different parts of your layer. So like how we manually put the values for things inside the layer for values like opacity, position, etc. Well, we can ask AE to compute it based on certain values. So one of the common used expressions in AE is the wiggle. So basically it like gives you a random number between the first parameter and the second parameter. So it's like wiggle. No, it's more like the amount and the frequency. So the first, which one was the amount again? Was it the first parameter?
I think first is the
I don't
amount and the second is the frequency.
Okay,
if I'm not
So
wrong.
in this case, it will fluctuate every 40 very very quickly. So the higher the number of the second parameter, the faster it is, and the higher the value of the first parameter, the bigger the gap between them. So yeah, the wiggle is one of the expressions you should know. So if you use the Twitch plugin, it's basically a lot of it you can do somewhat similar things by just adding wiggle and a lot of color correction.
This is a lot messier than I would have imagined, but
Yeah.
this is really what goes into an animating process, to be honest. It's a lot of experimentation. You can be experienced and not make things look right at the start as well. It just leads a lot of like ideas and experimentation. So
And
give it time.
so I think can you go to a still? Like can you stop at a frame where so let's stop at a certain frame and just show the effect of the adjustment layer. Like when you turn it off and then turn it on basically.
Okay.
You can
So
see the difference.
this is how it looks without the change. This is how it looks.
So basically the cohesiveness is so important. Like at the start, you'll notice that everything looks like they're just, placed inside the 3D space. But when you start adding the color correction, you start to, blend them together. So we use the blurs to make it seem like there aren't too many hard edges on the objects. We use the vignette to change the focus for you to look at the middle of the screen, for example. We use the curves to make sure that the colors don't clash as much as you would think it is. So it's like all these elements together basically make it seem like it's one image. Because I feel like one of the pitfalls when animating is that you just place things in a 3D screen and it looks unfinished, I guess. That's the word. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like you could do better by adding color correction to make it look cohesive. in a way.
It's a very important word. Yes.
Yeah, cohesiveness is a very important word. That's why we put it in the judge criteria
no.
when we do CV judging.
There we go. All right. So, I have an effect called effects console that opens and closes. Then this is how it looks like.
And this is the free one, right?
This is for free plugin. Yes, I will explain later. But basically, this is how it is without color correcting, and then this is how it is with color correct. So simple things like a subtle glow to everything really makes things look together better. Of course, I'm gonna need to do something about the brightness of the guy in the middle. But
yeah, he's too bright.
Really bright. I'm not. I'm not that bright. Haha. Anyways.
Oh my god.
So this is where I will cut off for now. It's really, really, really rough and not really where I want it to be, but yes, this is where the animation is at the moment. I'm pretty sure when I'm done with it and I show you the rest, it's gonna be entirely different. You'll be like, what the hell?
Okay.
Yeah.
So for now, so that we'd like, so if you guys have any questions of the current scene or any scenes from before, because like you Malcolm, you showed us what you've worked on so far, right? Can you play the one that you worked on so far?
You mean the current one?
The video? Yeah, the current one, because I feel like they have questions about how you implemented certain things there.
Right.
Because I think we know what the chorus looks like, but they might be curious about the previous parts. So can you play for those who missed that part of the stream? Can you play what you've made so far?
Yeah.
Like the video.
Hold on. Okay. So I'll move it to the other stream again. I mean this video thing. Okay. This is how
so for those who missed it,
it's playing now. Yeah.
なんだ許すなら急反射一人ぼっち愛をちょうだいあんだ何かが足りないんだ求め合う決まりなんとかしたいフューチャー隅からのかくれんぼ差し踏まえて黙ってどうぞあんだ壊れたハート持って痛いのはいつまで続くのかな奪い
Okay, so that was what was shown in the beginning of the slides. Here you go. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. But while you're thinking of a question, yes, I sang this. Thank you so much, Foam, for the mix. It sounds so good. Okay,
yeah, so. This is him singing.
Okay, while people are trying to send in their questions, we'll be answering some questions that were in the form that was sent to us but haven't been answered. Or maybe it wasn't answered in a previous stream. So, one of the questions asked was, I've asked a few people, but I'm still confused. What's the difference between a typography and a lyric video? Well, a lyric video is just what the actual words that are being sung in the video. But you could technically say it's the same, but I believe the word typography makes you think that there's like some form of animation to make the lyrics look cooler than it is compared.
I mean, I think there it's more of the other one is kinetic typography.
Yeah, I believe the term you're looking for is kinetic typography instead of typography versus lyric videos. Like it's a very staple kind of animation type. What was it called? Like that's very like one of the fundamental things that you usually learn when you do motion graphics as well. That's why when you like listen to some new songs and they usually show up with a lyric video before a music video, they are much easier to work with and gets out the the idea much easier.
Mm-hmm. Like for the most part, kinetic typography is like for those like in my case, I am not really from the like motion graphics side of the animating community, so it's not my strong point because I worked with illustrations more than shapes and text. So in my case, like I have a different experience, but definitely when you're thinking about typography, it's the same thing for both of us, regardless if you have the typography background or the non-typography background. It's important choosing the fonts and the transitions.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, finding the right one will kind of, make it will make what it is. So it can be a simple transition, that's fine. But if you want it to be dynamic, how it looks, how you want your text to be, like whether it's just the outline of the text, it's a solid text, it's a type of font, is it serif, is it sans serif? Those types of things are kind of the elements of typography. Whether it's static typography, like when you sing karaoke somewhere, which is lyric video sometimes, and kinetic typography where there's like words flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the important aspects. So
But
I think that's more complicated, right? When to explain, I think.
it's
Yes.
really a gray area thing. You can't take my word
Mm.
for what typography versus lyric video actually means. Like when I did a quick search, which I'll show you right now in Chrome, I did a quick search of lyric video, and it was just like this is one of the first few things that came to mind. And this is like a full blown 3D video that's showing like that's new song called Funny, and it's like there's like 3D text, there's like 3D mountains, whatever, and then that's apparently called a lyric video. And if you search typography,
I think it's semantics. I think it's just semantics, really. Like anything can be a lyric video. I've seen lyric videos with kinetic typography, and I've seen typography videos which are just, static text.
Yeah, but
so it depends on
really
the term.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some lyric videos that use kinetic typography. So if you're looking for like the dynamic words flying around aesthetically, I would suggest looking up kinetic typography, and there's actually a lot of resources on tips and tricks on doing kinetic typography in your own way.
It's a very popular thing, because in the Youtaite community, you have lyrics to sing like the song out, and some of the meaning can really be brought out by how you create this kinetic typography that goes on with the characters singing, and as well as the full meaning of the song coming out that happened, and so on.
But it's also some kind of effort, really. It takes effort for sure.
Alright, so
okay. Next question.
Next question. What techniques do seasoned animators use to make their animations pop? Smooth animation styles, extra red bits in video, utilizing effects that some animators aren't aware of, etc. etc. Well, I guess we can start off with some of the techniques that I've done already. Like simple things like adding a null, camera layer to a null instead, which gives like a dolly like effect, which is used in the real life filming scenario. Other techniques would include animating a text. Thing is, not everyone knows this, but when you animate the text, there's actually it's a special kind of layer in After Effects. There's actually a animate button at the side that can drop down, and there's many different properties that you can choose from. One of the very commonly used one is tracking, and basically it just increases the space in between the text. And what's interesting is that you can animate this going on throughout the video, throughout text to how you need. So if you have a keyframe that's set to 0, and then you slowly put it to 100%, and everything will be spread out, right? But how would it spread out? This is how it would spread out. it's a bit fast, but the gist of it is that it's supposed to help you make transitions of the animation a bit more easier to work with than making your own how to say, one by one moving each letter the way you need, you know what I mean? That's a lot of work put into it, which is unnecessary sometimes. Unless you need it very customized to the way you need. This property, instead of tracking, you can change it to let's say opacity, so they'll fade out instead. So if I put it to 100, just make sure the opacity factor is 0, so it's supposed to fade out. So this is what will happen instead. This is a feature in After Effects that really makes animating lyrics really so much more easier. This is how people do like those crazy effects, like having the, how's it called, like the position random for each letter, so like kind of wiggling or whatever, but basically change it to a wiggly selector instead of a range selector, and it starts to make this wacky looking, wavy looking animation that already by default animates by itself. Of course, there are many properties to it. You can make it stop wiggling. You can make it only wiggle at certain areas, which you have a range selector. So if you have the end animation go on to 100%, it will gradually get wiggle. It will gradually wiggle throughout the text if you animate it. So it's a very simple, how to say, there's a lot of complexity to it, but it's also can be used in a very simple way.
Yeah, and basically, this is where we say that check out everything that you can find. That's why, like, if you see an effect you're not familiar with, try it out.
Yeah,
you'll probably be surprised.
It's really helpful, especially when doing animation for text related stuff. Likewise, we were talking about kinetic typography, so this is one of the many techniques that we've used in creating animation. I guess instead of just techniques, we also do use effects, and effects are just like a bread. It's like, you know, it's literally called After Effects. You can make animation with some cool effects, can't you? You know?
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of resources that offer presets in a way. Like I know some in our community are kind of like they're scared to use presets for stuff because it, you know, some people might judge them for it. But I'm like, work smart, guys, instead of working too hard. Because maybe there are some there are some presets are there to help you make things, you know, easier. You don't have to, you know, stress too much about making things, as long as you can use it in your own way.
Yeah,
then just go with it, because, you know, doing everything manually, you don't need to reinvent the wheel.
yeah.
If it's already there, just use it.
Exactly. So, you know, okay, an example of presets that we'll use, let's say, so this is a software or effect called Magic Bullet Loops. It helps you. It's okay. Let me tell you about this beast of an effect. It's so good that I crashed. Now I'm joking. But basically, it's supposed to give the current scene that you're looking at a color correction that's really easy to work with and really intuitive. So you can just like select preset here to work with, and like we mentioned, presets are, you know, all up to interpretation. Everything, you know, you cannot just I guess certain people would judge you for it, but regardless of how you use it, it's to really speed up the workflow and really make things easier to work with. But they're all customizable even though they are preset. So the best thing that I would do is that even though I selected a preset, I would really tweak it to how I really want it. Make it as unique as possible, even though it's not my own creation, you know? Yeah. Because the whole point of presets is to make things work faster. And you can make your own like presets as well. So like let's say you want these two effects, vignette and this looks to be more to be are used in concurrent with each other. You can create a preset by pressing this button and saving it somewhere. Let's say looks and vignettes. Okay. So it's saving the preset. So now when you try to apply it to a new layer, and you apply what you have applied to that same layer just now. So if anything, you can create your own preset. You don't have to use presets made by others. But the whole idea is to really make the workflow way easier and way more faster. Because time wasted on figuring out one thing is, on the first time, it's not a wasted time. On the second or the third time, it becomes to feel like wasted time because you already know how to do this, but you don't want to go through the trouble of making this the same way you need.
Again.
Yeah. And that's why you have presets, you know. It's not a bad thing. Please don't shy away from it. It's all just...
Don't stress yourself out, guys.
Yeah.
We know how it feels. We've had deadlines.
Yeah, dude. This is a hobby and we are trying to adhere to the deadlines that we're already trying to do. Of course, not everyone takes it as a hobby. But regardless, give yourself like work. Yeah, like Fome said, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's supposed to be.
That's why EQs have names. Like there's supposed to be certain kind of EQ effects that works well with acoustic music, etc., etc. It could be better for EDM. It could be better for rock. But you're gonna change the parameters of the EQ to how you need it anyway because it's unique to how you perceive that work. So please don't shy away from presets, you know. You've seen it used often, but you know, it's a cool effect, it's a good effect. We just don't want it to be used in such a way that it feels like, oh no, they used it again, how unoriginal. It's not about unoriginality, it's about working smarter.
Yeah, would you want an incomplete work or do you want...
Yeah, you don't want an incomplete work.
Yeah.
It's really, it's not really recommended. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Oh, you know what? Instead of moving on, I have one more thing before I move on from this topic. Because what I shared to you was a paid plugin. What I'm going to share with you next is actually a free plugin that you can get from Video Copilot. And this is nothing too flashy, but it really speeds up with your workflow really, really faster. So it's called FX Console, as you can see over here. I don't think not every animator has this window over here that I felt was useful, but the whole idea of it was that you can take a screenshot and save it anytime, and you also can set up shortcuts just like a preset, and it will do those things that you specified it to do. So like maybe you want to make Ctrl+Shift+J to add a particular effect, and then it will make that happen when you have this plugin. So you can set it up over here. I don't really have much at the moment, but yeah. Likewise, it's not just the end of it, but if you press Ctrl space when in After Effects, they'll show you that, you know, you can have like a search bar of effects that you want. So like, let's say blur, they'll show you different kinds of blur to work with, and then you just select it, and they'll apply it to the layer that you select, etc., etc. It's just a very simple thing, but it really helps to speed up the workflow if you are used to it. But the whole idea is to make it as unique to how you want to make your workflow faster. Of course, not everything's about being fast, but for now, it's just about adding it's just to hone your skills in animation instead, and to understand what goes into the process of animating. So go check it out. We'll leave the link into the description when the stream is done, and then we'll share it in tweet probably. Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the question. This is a pretty specific animation lol. But like to know how this part was made if possible. Camera zoom subtitles, blah 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 blah. Okay, so I've opened up the video. Let me check real quick. Is this the correct Oh, that's weird. Okay, there we go. Right. Okay, so I think what they mean is the shaking with the tout effect that you see around you. One of the ways that I would make it work is that, let's see, start with a simple thing. Okay, so color correction. Okay, let's use this scene as an example. But basically, what you want to do is that one effect can be used is called CC repertoire. Wait, okay, maybe not, but CC, motion tile. That's a better. Basically, the whole idea is to change the tile width. Change the tile width to smaller, and just make sure it's the same number for height and width, and that will show you like the repeated scene in. Oh no, I didn't change the screen. Hold on. Oh no. All right. Okay, let me redo it again. Okay, can you see it, Kenta?
Wait, it's okay. There it is.
All right.
Go
So
ahead.
apologies. So they wanted to do that tiled effect. So one thing I would use is motion tile. Okay, this is how it looks like. There's nothing changed, but because you have to add changes in, you want to change the tiled width to a smaller number, maybe, but make sure the tiled width and the height are the same. And this should give you a similar effect to how you want. And just, play around with it.
That's percentage, right?
Sorry?
The tile width and height are percentages, or are they pixels?
Yeah, in terms of percentage. They are not in terms of the pixels of the current.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Although the tile center, while you scroll through each thing, is based on how's it called? Based on the current project composition pixel number. And they wanted to do like the shaking effect. So what I would suggest, you could technically just animate the tile center, and then just make it shake up and down, I guess. But the thing is, you can change the. Oh no, this is the position of this. Okay, there you go. So now we can just animate this up, down. Just make sure it comes down to the same as in the middle at the end. Maybe add like a easy ease to all of it. You can see it changes like that. So what you want to do when you make it go into two smaller tile, you probably want to change the tile width and height as it shakes at the most violent or highest speed part of the animation. So let's say 50 to 20, and then you copy this set of keyframes again, but instead of 20, you probably want to go down to 100. So 50, then 100. Okay, so this is how it looks. This is how I would do it, but some people make use of an effect called twitch, which helps you make the camera shaking effect much easier. So yeah.
Would you like to explain the? I think since you did the easy ease, would you like to show them the graph editor?
Oh, okay. So here's how the graph editor looks. Looks like a middle finger. Okay. Currently, what the graph editor is that it's trying to show you that over time, right? It's not just a straight line. If it's a straight line, it will prove to be a very robotic animation. What you want to do is you want to remove you want to make it, how's it called? You want to make it a bit more smoother. A bit.
Yeah, I think for those who are not familiar with like the graph itself. So if you've seen transitions before where it starts slow and then it goes fast, or it starts fast and it ends slow, those kinds of effects can be manipulated in the graph editor. So basically, I think Malcolm can point at the button where you can change to the graph editor, right? So
Yeah.
it's the button there.
Apologies.
And when you have, yeah, when you select between two keyframes, you can press F9 to make it easier, basically to set the easy ease, and then it will in the graph editor you can see these wiggly lines. So these are the changes over time. So for every frame, the value of X or whatever goes to this value. So you just adjust these squiggly lines to go for fast then slow. So for example, if the horizontal part is longer than the vertical part, it starts slow and then ends fast. And then if the horizontal part is like at the start is like you dip immediately, it starts fast and then ends slow. So
Yeah.
those kinds of manipulations is part of like, because I think some people, if you just use it by default, it's so mechanical. Like when you transition, it's just one speed. It's
Yeah.
just one speed. So it's like you can make it more interesting or more dramatic by making things slow at the start, then make it faster, make it fast at the start, then go slower. So the graph editor will actually kind of make your transitions and other things. Actually, there are so many things you can do with the graph editor, because you can control the speed at which values change between keyframes.
Yeah. It's
So
all
that can apply to any
fine-tuning stuff.
fine tuning stuff, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Alright, so okay, that's the question. Okay. Oh no. I think I accidentally made 2 copies of the same question. Okay. Alright, other than the rest that we've mentioned, I guess there's no questions that we have in mind
From the old
or
one.
was shared to us.
Okay, so
one more thing.
does anyone in the current go ahead.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions yet, I guess?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure
So
they're overloaded with questions, but they
Yeah,
can't really ask
yeah,
in this.
there are a lot of questions.
Yeah,
But-
but
So
oh,
if you
try
have like, if you want, maybe either to show how he did one part of the preview a while ago, or if you have a current question regarding something that you want to try, that's possible that we can do, then feel free, I guess, to ask. Yeah. So let us wait in the chat if there are any particular questions. If there are no questions coming to mind right now, I think we're free to answer, like, if it's short enough, we can probably answer via the YT resources tweet somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you
Well,
have any questions?
If you come up with a question, just feel free to type in a tweet with the hashtag YT resources, and then we'll see we'll see if anyone could answer it. We'll sound it off. People sound it off to the the respective people to see who can answer, and then we'll see what we can do about it.
I think that we have a doc. We have an internal doc for questions too.
Yeah,
right?
that's where I took some of the
we
questions
do.
from actually, but I can't answer all of them in the stream. Okay. So I guess this is one last thing that I will show real quick, but it's basically called blending mode. It's actually not just an animating thing, but it really helps with layering effects. It's just a digital image manipulation kind of thing. So we'll show you 3 kinds of blending mode. To start off, this is the subtractive kind of blending mode. You can see that the darker parts of the image are the ones that will be transferring the colors to the the underlying layer that's
Foreground and
used.
the background. Yeah.
Yeah, foreground, background per se. Okay, so there are many different kinds of the darken or whatever thing. So we'll go through a bit, but basically it does a variation of a subtractive kind of blending mode, and this one's really strong. Ooh. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So all of them have an interesting effect, but it's really up to how you want. I'm trying now, but
Yeah, I think it suddenly stopped. Probably.
oh, did it go through?
Mm. Oh, it's
Oh. Oh man, that's so weird. I suddenly had no internet for like 10 for a while. Uh, okay. Well, if anyone is still here, well, basically we're running through all the blending modes that was used. Um, okay, I shouldn't probably take too much of your time anyway. But basically, there's a subtractive kind of blending mode. There's an additive, and there's a mixed kind. A mixed kind is it has both the darks and the lights becoming darker or lighter. Okay, that's to put it simply, anyways. And with that, let me. Okay, so all right, should be done. Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry for the internet issue, but yeah. To summarize again, for blending modes, that's what you can see in your layers. So it should be when you look at the layers there. There's a name, and then the mode. So the mode, it has all the list of blending modes over there. Okay. So if you plan on using those, yeah,
Yes, just feel free to look around and try
try
to
it out.
blend different layers together and just put them together. It's all interesting, and it really helps to layer effects together, like effects like lens flares. If you use a blending mode that's supposed to be additive, you should be able to make it more brighter feeling, or at least it will make it more feel contextually better.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Likewise for the shadows, if you have like a red shadow, or you want to mimic like the glass, what's it called, the glass, like the church glass where there's like a colored light coming through
Mosaic.
as a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can probably do that with drop shadows, and it's no, not drop shadows, but like blending modes, and it will be very helpful to make that effect more realistic per se. It
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
stylistic, like I mentioned.
So if you want to experiment with blending modes, you can either do that in Photoshop too, because every artist has PTSD with blending modes. At least digital artists would, because we also use the same blending modes apply.
Yeah,
Basically, whatever if you use it in an art program, it's the same thing.
yeah,
It's
it
literally
works
the
the
same
same
thing.
way. Although different softwares actually have different algorithms, but if you're within the Adobe suite, it should be the same for Photoshop and the effects. Okay, all right. Thank you for tuning in to the stream for real this time.
Yeah.
I know there was a weird technical issue there, but I hope that I tried to answer as much as I could about
Hmm.
animating and then chorus video out. We know we couldn't go through the rest of the song to this
Yeah,
stream.
because this will take like hours.
Yeah,
This will take hours.
this will take time. You need to set it up. You need to make it animated. You need to add details. You need to make sure everything seems to look fine. You need to add in transitions. It's all along. It's a long process, but on somebody who's
It,
experienced,
it
can
can
make
be
it
fun.
work. And yeah,
Mm.
so
It can be
anyways,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah, but just don't do it like the day before the deadline, because you are just asking for it.
Yeah,
You are
this
just asking
give
for it.
yourself enough time to work. They can't emphasize how many times that people had to work on it either in the last few days because they are the last stretch of the what's it called, relay
Oh
race of
God, do
some
we
sort.
need to bring that up? Yeah, yes, the relay race of
Yeah,
choruses.
the
Oh God.
animation's always the last because we have to render the video out and we need to make sure everything looks
Mm.
fine. And
Mhm.
you know, show must go on. This
I see, I see. But yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to mention YT resources. This is important because we kind of keep track of all the questions in internally, so that we people who are able to answer the question can answer it uh, in their own way. And I think Malcolm, you will finish this. You will finish the cover, right?
yes.
So you will be. I think YT Resources will be sharing the cover when it's done, and you'll get to see how the chorus will look after, and you'll probably see like
Heck did
how
Malcolm
much it's changed.
top trade?
Hmm? Top tree. What?
Regardless, we'll get the video out as possible. Life is
Mm,
very you know, it changes every time. I can't guarantee I can finish it in time, but I will try my best as much as I can.
yeah.
We
It,
know that this
mm,
stream was a bit overdue, but yeah, hope that they could
yeah,
help you
because
in the end.
So we hope that you learned a few more terminologies, and that these terms will help you find easier ways to learn, because there's so many resources available to you. I always recommend Video Copilot for anyone starting AE, and there are tons of YouTube tutorials. If you just know the word, I think you can find many resources as well
Yeah,
to try these certain things. Like if you ask, like, how do I make this kind of thing? Once you know, and also, if you get a new plugin, try it.
yeah.
Like, try it. Just try it, and then maybe you can think of creative ways to use it in
They
the
cost
future.
extra money.
Mm. Yeah, make it worth. Make it worth, because those are some of those are expensive. Like, damn. But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
anyways,
Yeah.
thanks for tuning to the stream again. Hope you
Mm-hmm.
guys have a good day, night, morning,
Morning.
whatever
Yeah.
it
Okay.
is. Take care, alright? Times are
Yeah.
tough these days.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming.
Hmm.
Bye.
Bye.